Today we're going to be talking about practical transposition, and I use the word practical because I'm not going to be using so many terms related to functional harmony. Mainly, I'm going to be sticking to intervals and chords onto themselves. You'll know what I'm talking about once we get started, but here is the riff that we're going to be working with. It's something that I posted on my Instagram account, and when I did, I tied it together with multiple transpositions going down by whole steps. So right off the bat, you can tell that this is not rooted in any kind of obvious harmonic center. So how would you transpose this? What I would do first is to group it into different sections that make the most sense to me. And because this can vary, I'll just put a disclaimer that this makes the most sense to me. You can look at this phrase or this little riff and break it into different segments. Anyway, here are the segments that I like to look at it as. This is group 1, so a major third plus a tritone, and then a minor triad, first inversion, plus a major 7th here. Of course, here's a good example. If this makes much more sense to you as a B major 7 with the 13 added, go for that. And then a major triad second inversion, and from the thumb here, major thirds, basically going down an augmented chord. So 4 groups like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, once I have those groups set, I also want to pay attention to how they're connected, right? So there's a semitone here, and there's a minor third here before we go to the major triad. And the last connection is easy, just the thumb. Okay, so now that we have that organized, what I would do is just take the first group and cycle it through whatever transpositions I want. So that is an example of just using the first three notes, and going down by whole step. And I would just make sure I'm comfortable with this to the point where I can go anywhere and I know exactly what notes to play. So simple, baby steps, just 3 notes for the time being. After becoming comfortable with that, I would then move on to just adding 1 note, the transition. And that's a semitone, so I would just add that thumb. And I would actively listen to that semitone relationship as I'm playing this. So now, after having that down, I would move on to the second group, but instead of playing the notes separately, I'll clump them into a chord because I want to see all these notes as a whole. Then I would, of course, break them up. Now this is where we change directions in the riff, so I would now focus on all the notes coming down. So assuming that going up, this is taken care of and you're comfortable with it, just start from the top note. And again, let's just focus on 3 notes. And this is a minor third going down and a major third going up. Same thing, I would get really comfortable with this anywhere you start. Maybe the next step will be to clump that triad together and then break it apart. And then of course you can just keep going in this manner. And clump the chords first and then play them separately. Personally, I have a little more trouble coming down with this riff. So I might concentrate a little more on these last few notes, starting with this sixth interval. I might just really focus on, see, you can tell it's a little uncomfortable. So once you take care of coming down and you're comfortable with that, then you add in all of the different parts. And once you do, you'll have different places depending on what you're comfortable with or not. You'll have different places where it needs a little more attention. So then you would just look at those specifically and make sure you're comfortable with them in all the different transpositions. So I hope that made sense, and I hope you try playing this riff and transposing it on your instruments. I personally came up with this not just for the technical aspect of it, but to try to transpose it as an exercise. So I wanted to share this with you. I will check in with you in the next video, and I hope everyone is staying safe and well.